You are so blinded by your ridiculous, insane hatred of Tucker Carlson that you cannot see how irresponsible and hypocritical you are being. I mean, these tweets from Ted Cruz, I'm going to read you next, are a great example of this. So just a month ago.
Welcome back, my beloveds, to the Nissim Black Show. Always a pleasure. This war is heating up really, really big on the right. I mean, it's just heating up, and there's so much going on, and there's so much nuance, and there's so much, there's so many of these people in the middle, the Brett Coopers, the Matt Walshes, the Megyn Kellys, and all these other people that want to be in the middle on crazy, crazy issues. Support for Israel or not Israel, that's one thing. America first versus America only is another thing. What's Christianity and what's not the Christianity? Like, now you're getting deep. Now you're going into people's faith. You're going into the religion, and then you're telling this one you are one, and this one you're not one, and everything else. And I'm telling you right now, it is a very scary place to be in. I want to roll for you guys this first clip. Reason being is because I don't feel like we're being heard. I don't feel like everybody's understanding what's actually taking place right now. And it's a very sad place to be in, unfortunately, for those who have been a part of the conservative movement for a very long time. And to see everything crumbling right now before our eyes is absolutely, terrifying, at least for some.
Senior fellow at the Hoover Institute, Victor Davis Hanson. Victor, what do you make of this split within the Republican Party? Does it seem organic to you?
Yeah, I think it's born out of a lot of things. I think there's a lot of disappointment on the paleo right that they had the hearts and minds of MAGA and Donald Trump, and then they learned that Donald Trump is not a isolationist, he's a Jacksonian, and he feels correctly so that Israel has been one of the best friends of the United States, and he's not going to, contextualize that. And they feel that that Israel has this, it goes way back, Rick, decades, this idea.
And what's even crazier than this, I'm going to let Mr. Hanson go on about this. However, what's even crazy about this point is, it's one thing to be like, oh, yeah, we're America first. We're going to hop on the MAGA train, and whatever the case is. And when Donald Trump is Donald Trump, who's a consistent person, regardless of how much you like him or you dislike him or whatever, when he stands on something, he's a principle. I don't know what he feels all the time. I don't know if him and Bibi have the best relationship. He was on the campaign trail very early on talking about some of the things that he did not like that happened between him and Bibi, whatever, when it came to, taking out the Iranian official. However, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, because Donald Trump himself is always going to be consistent. If he says something, he's going to do it. And at least he's going to try to do it. Whatever the case is, we have seen that about him. I think more so Tucker and all these other clowns get upset with Donald Trump because they're used to flip-flopping. They don't know what it's like to see consistency because they're never there. They're never in the place of consistency. And since they flip-flop and they dance around and whatever becomes popular for them at the time, right? They only know how to operate in that space. So when a person like Donald Trump comes along and he's not operating in that space, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do.
Idea that there's a cabal of American Jews that try to fix or influence the Roosevelt administration or the Truman or Kennedy to do something that's not in the interest of the United States. And the immediate problem was Tucker, if he wants to bring in somebody and give him a platform, and I wouldn't have done it, but if you want to do that, then there's a model on the conservative side how to do it. William F. Buckley had Eldridge Cleaver, a convicted rapist, Black Panther person. He had the segregationist George Wallace. But what he did do, and Tucker did not, and as you intoned, he cross-examined him relentlessly. So the point of the interview was to warn people that these people can be dangerous. So when Tucker had Fuentes in there, all he had to do was say, I'm not going to let you talk. Each time you make a statement, I'm going to assess the validity. And anybody...
And that's what we all would expect, right? You have this guy on, he's polarizing. He says outlandish and crazy things. Like, when you do an interview for the people, right? So you're there and you ask the questions that your audience would want to ask the person. But he did not do that. It's simple, basic thing that you would do. You would ask the person that you're interviewing the questions that you put yourself in the audience seat, and then you ask those questions. And he did not do that. Major failure.
Who watched that interview knew that almost everything that Nick Fuentes said was demonstrably false and designed for other reasons, and he didn't challenge him,
Yeah.
and that was the problem.
Yeah, he was pandering. He was pandering to Fuentes, and his role, and I think we agree on this, should have been to challenge him. Let him speak.
Absolutely.
And let him make his positions clear, and then challenge him on those positions, especially the ones that are way out in left field.
Yes.
Ted Cruz is one of those who did not hide his outrage about the Fuentes interview while speaking at that Republican Jewish Coalition Summit in Las Vegas this weekend. I wanted you to hear this clip.
If you sit there and nod while someone says there's a very good argument America should have intervened on behalf of Nazi Germany in World War II. If you sit there with someone who says Adolf Hitler was very, very cool, and that their mission is to combat and defeat global Jewry, and you say nothing, then you are a coward, and you are complicit in that evil.
And listen, I have to agree with Ted Cruz there. I don't think there's anything else or no other way to look at it. The other thing I would say is that what's also disturbing about this are those people in the middle who are acting like these are such small issues that we should all really just be able to come together and look what's happening to the right, because everybody recognizes that this is happening, but the approach to it is very interesting about those who say they're in the middle, because they'll say they're in the middle, very similar to Matt Walsh and I'm going to play this clip now of Brett Cooper that was flying around the last few days. Now, the idea of thinking like, that you could just sweep this under the rug, like this is some small issue or whatever, it is absolutely ridiculous. And it only shows that you don't realize, or that you are desensitive to the things, you're desensitized or whatever, or insensitive, I'm sorry, that was the word, and sensitive to the sensitivity of what these topics are. As Israel as a major ally, that changes the whole entire dynamic and the shift of what's going on in the Middle East, whether or not if Israel and America will cut off ties with each other or any, like, it's not a small thing, right? Whether or not you are promoting racism. As Nick Fuentes says that, people who disagree with him religiously should be given the death penalty. Like these type of things where we could just say, well, like, dudes, like we should really get together,
Blinded by your ridiculous, insane hatred of Tucker Carlson that you cannot see how irresponsible and hypocritical you are being. I mean, these tweets from Ted Cruz I'm going to read you next are a great example of this. So just a month ago, he tweeted this. He said, "They don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so they can kill you. Political violence is a left-wing phenomenon. Enough is enough. We need to shut it down." And then in response to Fuentes and Tucker this week, he tweeted this. "Trump's bombing of the Ayatollah's nuclear facilities made the little Nazi mad. Good." So now you're turning around and you're calling somebody that you don't like a Nazi. You're doing this out of blind rage because you're so angry that the conservative base's attitudes are rapidly changing, that Nick Fuentes is getting national attention, and so you have turned around and in response, you are compromising your own values in anger, which is such a dangerous precedent to set. And unfortunately for you guys, yes, the attitudes are changing, so again, it makes sense why this group is incredibly frantic.
So notice what she says. She says, "You guys," insinuating that she's on the other side. She's not in the middle. That's what Brett is letting us know, right? That you guys, unfortunately for you guys, that the attitudes are changing with us younger people, right? Basically what she's saying. So there's a couple things to address apart from her just saying you guys. The other thing I would like to say to Brett, there's a difference. When somebody's called a Nazi because they believe in traditional family values, if you're called a Nazi because you believe that kids should not be choosing their gender at 7 years old or 8 years old, right? And so you speak out against that. Or if you are against, homosexuality because it's not a biblical thing and different things like that. And because of those things, because you're standing for what has been always to be understood, at least for those who are biblical, who believe in God, to be moral, moral things that are foundational, to faith, into society, like to believe in those things, those conservative values, and to be called a Nazi because of those things. Yes, that's absolutely dangerous. But on the flip side, to be a person who actually props up Nazis, right, and says that Hitler was great, he was a cool person, to celebrate Stalin, that is a Nazi, and a person who doesn't oppose those opinions and platforms a person like that, and laughs with them and chuckles as they're saying these things and doesn't give any pushback towards it, not to mention the other rhetoric that has come out of his mouth, towards the state of Israel. It's not... Brett, come on. Are you serious? You cannot be saying this. So there is no kumbaya. There is no kumbaya. There is no let's just sweep this under the rug. Let's just look at this differently and let's just try to figure out a way to come together. There is no kumbaya when you have these type of issues. It just can't be.
With Nick Fuentes, that the people he hates most in the entire world, more than ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Trans-Tifa, Marxists, rapists, murderers, are Christian Zionists who represent an enormous chunk of the conservative base. According to Tucker Carlson, who admits that he first read the Bible all the way through just 2 years ago, Christians who support a Jewish state of Israel are heretics and blasphemers with a brain virus.
How do you explain Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and there are a lot like that, John Bolton? I mean, I've known them all, George W. Bush, like Karl Rove. I mean, all people I know personally who I've seen be seized by this brain virus, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians, and then the Christian Zionists who are, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that? Right. And I could just say
what is that? Because what is that? The meaning, anything that goes against what Tucker Carlson, holds as the truth, has to be, not only it just has to be demeaned, mamish, like demean it,
self, I dislike them more than anybody, because what? Because it's Christian heresy, and I'm offended by that as a Christian.
But most of all, Tucker Carlson acts as an ideological launderer for other people's evils. Tucker Carlson says many inflammatory things, always buying back just enough of it to appear as though he's not saying what he's clearly saying. He's a master of gaslighting. Tucker Carlson, for example, would never say out loud what Nick Fuentes does.
It's an unfortunate thing to see. It's a very unfortunate thing to see all of this. But, it is what it is. And if a person is steadfast in prayer and a person is connected with the Creator, you'll be able to see these things. And that's why I always am coming back to, all this talk about America first or Israel first. But it needs to be God first. When you're not centered and you're not, contrary to those who say, separation between, church and state or faith and state, whatever the case is. No, you have to be living in your faith and you have to be living in truth. If you're not grounded by truth, these things will sweep you up and you will be sounding like these clowns calling Christian Zionists that they're the worst people in the world because Christian heresy from the guy who only read the Bible from 2 years ago. I'd be surprised if Nick Fuentes has ever been through the Bible. Okay, so he's only read it two years ago, and already he is the theologian. He knows enough to be able to say that the Christian Zionists who have read the Bible that has over 85% of the Bible that talks about the promises between God and Israel. Israel's the main, and something's off by them, right? And it's so unfortunate. I have one last clip I want to show you guys. This brother, I don't know who he is, but I actually love what he had to say about this and the sincerity in his heart. I have to show you guys this clip.
Shapiro's attack on the far right of the Republican Party is exactly what's going on. Just like years ago, the Democrats, the far wing of their party began to arise to take over the Democratic Party. Right now, there's a war within the Republican Party, and it's not even close to how bad it was in the Democrat, because most of our leaders are coming out fiercely against it. A lot of them are rising up. And I know there are people, Matt Walsh, who I respect, and others who think this is not a problem and that we should be focused on defeating the left. But we have no hope of defeating the left if we ignore like the left did, because that's what they did.
Right. What he is saying is so true. Listen to every single word that this man is saying. I want to stop it, but I don't have nothing to say. He's saying amazing things.
Ignored the seeds of Mandami when he was coming in, when he first started. They should have snuffed him out in the beginning. They should have snuffed out a lot of these anti-Christ, anti-American Democrats, but they didn't. So now the Democratic Party have been taken over by the left wing of their party. We cannot do the same. Like Bishop Shapiro, we cannot be taken over by the small percentage of racist Nazis, neo-Nazis, that believe in Stalin and Hitler and believe that black people and minorities are inferior, the white supremacy that the left has accused the right of. We cannot let them be proven right. I've been a Republican for many years, and I serve the Republican Party because they align more with my Christian values, but that's where I stop. Once any party stops aligning with Christian values, I get off the train.
And this is what I'm saying. If it's not about God first, it doesn't matter what party that you associate yourself with. All these parties and all that other stuff like that it's all fake news anyway. It doesn't matter. It matters that what matters is if a person's values, their belief in God, dictates the way that they govern their lives, the way that they live their lives, right? That's what matters. It doesn't matter if you say we're over here and we're over there, because as we are learning from this fallout right now on the right, there is no we. There is no we. The only we that there is we, me, us, me and God. That's the only we that there is. I am so just taken aback by this guy's response.
And that's for me. And we are not like the left. We are people of principle. We are people that are led by our faith. And I want to apologize for that. I want a big tent, but not if that means I have to sacrifice righteousness to do so.
Oh, my goodness. Couldn't have said it better myself. I could not have said it better myself. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please drop a comment. Let me know what you're feeling about all this. I know I had a bunch of clips that I wanted to cram in, but I think this is so important to center everything back to our faith. Center it back to what is it, not what I want, but what does God want, right? And that's the way that I live my life. That's the way that I choose a candidate. That's the way that I choose who I associate myself with. It's not, oh, we're all on the same side. Because as we're seeing that this side ain't a side. And so I can't side with those who are not on God's side. Just is what it is. Thanks again. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And as always, serve God or live trying. I'm out. I don't have to tell you that in our fast-paced lives, we rarely stop to just breathe, to reconnect ourselves with Hashem and with our purpose. And that's why I'm really excited to tell you about Kavana, an incredible new app that helps bring mindfulness and Jewish spirituality into everyday life. It's filled with guided meditations, music, sleep stories, quick 1-minute pauses, and daily inspiration, all designed to help you live with more Kavana, with more intention, more presence, and more meaning. And right here on the Kavana app, I will be releasing a brand new guided Heat Buddha series, a powerful journey into personal prayer and connection with the Creator. So go download the Kavana app today, sign up, and join me for the course.